Hey guys, back to the Coin Shop Podcast. My name is Kenny Duncan Jr. alongside my brother Matthew. We have a great guest today, the founder of Jimmy Changas, the founder of Gringo's Tex-Mex, which we ate for a long time and never even knew that it was Russell, and Lunch Box and Burger Libre. His name's Russell Ybarra. He's an awesome guy, a guy I met a few years ago through a mutual friend, just an absolute stud of a guy that runs an amazing business, has an amazing model, really takes care of people, and really has been an inspiration to us, and someone that's been able to set the bar and allow our minds to think in terms of taking care of our own backyard before expanding out. And that's something that we've been able to do and we continue to do with people like Russell. So we thought, why not have Russell on the podcast? He said, okay, here we are.
Here I am.
Russell, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. If I was doing any better, I'd be worried.
Doing well. I like it. I like it. We appreciate you coming on. We actually had you scheduled to come on a couple months ago, and I was unable to make it. And I'm glad that you, sometimes once you have one shot, sometimes you don't get another one.
It's true.
Right?
I blocked out all of April and May because I'm taking off the entire summer, so you got me. Here I am.
Sweet. Right. Well, we're excited to have him.
We are.
We're excited to have you. I'm excited to have him too, but yes. I'm excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit how you got started.
Well, I grew up in the industry. My father started a small chain of restaurants. He opened his first restaurant in 1960, an entire year before I was born. And he struggled with that first location in LaPorte. And then he brought on a gentleman that really helped him in terms of cooking, mass production cooking. And my father was able to open up his second store, his third store, his fourth store, and they started a central kitchen in Baytown where I worked as a young kid making tamales and doing other things. But this was back in the early or late 60s, early 70s. But Mr. John was his name, Juan Martinez, and so that's where I got my start. I earned my MBA at Gringo or El Toro LaPorte. I say MBA because it stands for Mop Bucket Attendant. But it was the best education I could have ever gotten. And I was very fortunate because my father, because of his upbringing and background, he was a dreamer. And I'm very lucky that I grew up under his vision because he felt a lot, and as did I. But things didn't turn around until I took my focus off making money. It was all about now producing the absolute best product that I possibly could. And things changed once I did that.
So a lot of similarities there. So our dad actually grew up in LaPorte.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my dad and the two brothers and sister, they actually lived in LaPorte for a long time.
Do you know what street?
I could ask him. I don't. We went down there one day just for the heck of it. But anytime someone's from LaPorte, you should see his eyes. They light up. He loves them. He just thinks it's such, because some of his fondest memories are from there. Right? He was a kid. Catching alligator gar. He was just. When he doesn't go into a lot of stories, but when he does, and LaPorte gets brought up, I think it's a cool spot for him in his the way that he feels about it. So that's pretty cool. And like us, I mean, we try to follow in our father's footsteps, right? I mean,
I actually at one point in my life, I had gotten out of the restaurant business. Swore to myself I would never get back into it.
Oh, really?
But I only did because one of his restaurants that he owned in Pearland had failed, and he turned around and leased it to two other restaurants, and they also failed. And so here he is, the landlord. No one wants to even lease or buy this building now. And I'm the one that was responsible for cutting the check to the bank, and the payment was $4,852.10 a month. It's a number that was so difficult to make at the time that it's seared on my brain for eternity. So I went in, and that's, again, when the philosophy of making money was just thrown out the window. I didn't want to make, it wasn't about making money. It was strictly about producing the absolute very best product that I knew how to make. And when we opened, we only opened up half of the restaurant, because we didn't have enough money to go buy used tables and chairs with the other side.
Wow.
And so we opened with 25 tables, 100 guests.
Wow.
100 seats. And we didn't even open with the liquor license. Our first day of sales, we did $580. And the second day, we did about the same. And on the third day, one of my siblings, who was dead set against us opening this property or reopening it, because it had already been an El Toro, when he had called on the third day to ask me what we had done, and I told him, he said, "That's it. Close the damn place. We did more the first time we were there," which was true, but it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And here I am. But like I told him, and I remember exactly what I told him, I said, so long as those $580 worth of guests are happy and pleased, they'll come back. And they've been coming back. So we're about to open our 20th full-service restaurant in Conroe later this year. We opened up College Station last year.
Congrats to that, man.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
And it was our strongest opening to date. And we feel that there's something very special about the brand. We don't want to open it or open a location just to open a location. We don't want to outgrow our management capabilities. And we want each store to be special, almost like a Buc-ee's, if you will.
Right.
Just it has to make sense. It has to be special. And there's a certain magic when you do it right that not only do your team members pick up on, but also the community at whole. So yeah, we're very fortunate. We have 2,900, close to 2,900 team members now. We have a full-time general counsel, CFO, chief marketing officer. We have a COO, and our corporate offices they're in LaPorte in a building that we own that's free and clear and keeping our overhead low. I don't believe in having a high corporate overhead for a business where your margins are slim, and like most businesses, they're slim.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So
I don't think people realize just how slim margins really are sometimes. Once you really start looking at a balance sheet and really start breaking things down, I mean, it costs a lot of money to be the boss. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's amazing what we go through to earn 5 and 10 cents on the dollar.
Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah. But we have to put up with a lot for sure.
Right. I can imagine.
But one of the things I always remind our senior management team and executives and all, listen, anything and everything that we're going through, our competition is going through the very same thing. So it's just a matter of how we respond to it and act. And I think if we just do a better job, we'll have an advantage over them. So,
right.
And I think we do.
Well, it's one of those deals. It's hard not to realize you'd be a fool to run a business and not look to see what your competitors are doing.
Right.
A lot of times people have said to me, I think you're too fixated on what they're doing. And my rebuttal to them is watch us grow, because we can put our spin on things.
Right.
We have a brand and a way of doing things. Right.
Yeah.
And, maybe somebody thought of something that we didn't think of. And, sometimes I look at it like, how can I do it better? Right? How can we improve on this? Hey, this was a great idea. And I'll tell them, when it comes to when advertising is the biggest one, right? So I believe we're the only coin shop that does run television spots. And we had, 20, 30 people tell us it was a horrible idea. And it's been one of the best things we've ever done. When it came to Michael Berry, advertising with Michael Berry, I can't tell you how many naysayers. It was
we had a bunch.
Crazy. Yeah. I had people calling us on the phone saying, you need to get off of that channel. You guys are going to kill your brand, this and that. I said, this is what we believe in. If you don't like it, sorry.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of critics out there, but I try to pay attention to the ones that have actually done what they're wanting me to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to even compensation, our industry has a stigma of low wages, but I think we pay better than most anyone, but we pay according to our ability, according to what the business can afford. But if someone criticizes whatever we're paying, I always like to respond, well, how much are you paying your employees? And in most cases, of course, they don't even have employees, but it's easy for someone to tell someone else who to pay or what to pay and how much.
Shoes.
But they themselves are not doing it. So anyway, I don't pay attention to them.
Not to flip flop, but I want to go back to something you said earlier, because it resonates with me, because I've seen this a lot in my life. People who have worked in restaurants, and I'm not going to say servers, and nothing against servers or bartenders or bar backs or any of that stuff, but dishwashers, support staff, line cooks, prep cooks, those guys have a different drive. All right. Yeah. Those guys, or guys or girls, for whatever reason, seem to have a different drive. When I was growing up, and you remember this, I worked in my grandma's kitchen. Yeah. Our grandmother had a sushi bar on Fondren for almost 30 years. Sasaki. Yeah, Sasaki. Really? Yeah, Sasaki on Westheimer and Fondren. Yep, wow. She was there for nearly 30 years. She opened in 79. My dad, was in the bar business, and that's kind of where he grew up. And I feel like, I washed dishes there for 2 years. And then she let me start helping prep in the kitchen. And then I was the actual cook in the kitchen. I wasn't the chef. There was a sushi chef named Toda-san who had been with her for ages. And I learned a lot from him. And I love the kitchen. I mean, that's honestly, I was working at working at a scrapyard during the day. So I would, I'd show up around 7:30 and I'd get off at 4. I would drive from North Shepherd to Fondren and Westheimer and work in the kitchen until about 10:30. I did that for almost 3 years. And I feel like if I don't have that, I'm not here today.
I agree.
If I don't do that, so my son right now, who's 12, and if you're listening, if you're watching, this is happening. My buddy owns some restaurants. I think you might know Mike Collins. He owns a couple sushi bars in town, regardless. But if not, I want my son to wash dishes at 15 or whatever age they'll let him in there. His butt's going in there because there's just something about the kitchen, the environment, the way it moves, the pace, the rhythm. You have to work hard. If you don't, everything fails. Everything.
So true. So true. My first job was, my very, very first job was delivering chips and salsa to the table when I was only so high. But I didn't really officially start working until I was about 14. And my first job was dishwasher. Yeah. And there was just something challenging about, back in those days, we used to use a bus cart. And we would load the bus boys would load the bus cart with the dirty dishes and roll back to the kitchen, and we had to turn that cart as quickly as we could. Yeah. And our challenge and drive was to turn it as quickly as possible, and always just do a good job. But dishwashing, we have obviously several dishwashers at all 20 stores. If we have 5 per location, we have 100 dishwashers or more. But always recognize that when I walk into the restaurants, I always go back to the back and say hello to them and ask them if there's anything if they need anything, or I'll just hand them a $50 or $100 bill and tell them thank you, because dishwashers, people don't realize how important a dishwasher is to a restaurant. If they walk out, either management's going to have to get back there or someone will, but no one wants to.
No,
I mean it's not the glorious job of a restaurant. They're unseen, they're invisible. But to me, they're not invisible. I know they're there, and they know that I know they're there, and I want to take care of them.
Well, that's important. Them knowing, if they know that you're there. I can remember a couple of times, and I hadn't even thought about this until we started talking about it. But I can remember times where I would pre-rinse everything, and then I would scrub everything, and then everything goes on the cart, and it goes into the pull it down, hit the button. And I remember pulling it out of the cleaner, the dishwasher, and I remember just spot checking, making sure, because that was my family's restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
Like the last thing in the world you want is crusty, food, wasabi on the plate, or whatever it is, right? So I mean, I remember having looked at scrubbing it, putting it in the next cart, and putting it back in the next load. And I remember there's just it was the low man on the totem pole job, but man, I took pride in that job, right? I mean, I was the best damn dishwasher in the city of Houston, man.
And that's second best.
Well, in my mind, I was first. Okay, so, but my point is that thinking back at that, the restaurant, my brother Will was a server for many years, and I feel like sometimes the servers have different attitudes than the dishwashers. But
washing dishes will humble you for sure. And I wish every kid in school could work in a restaurant before they go out and pursue other careers, but it just it's a great place to develop and grow up for sure.
Yeah, and it's just a different type of drive, and again, it's that pace. When it's busy, man, and it's always busy at a restaurant. I mean, there's a lot of pace. I mean, you have to keep up. And I remember, hey, we need glasses. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, how do you not have glasses?
How many plates did you break over the years?
A lot.
My son, when he was younger. He was probably about 14 years old. He was working at Gringo's in LaPorte, and he was carrying a stack of plates in his arms. I mean, a tall stack, which he shouldn't have been doing. Should have been on a cart. But anyway, he's carrying it, and he was wearing tennis shoes, and the floor was
a little
wet.
Slippery.
And his feet went out from under him.
Oh wow!
And his entire goal was not to break any plates as he was going down, and he hits the ground. All his plates are all over him, and he didn't break one plate. He was so proud of himself.
Oh, that's awesome. It's like, I got a broken arm, but I didn't break any plates.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about, we're having we're noticing an uptick in theft. We're noticing an uptick in just overall not being comfortable with what we've been seeing, what our customers. So there's been a deal where customers are getting followed from banks now, right? And they're getting jugged. And it's not just at coin shops, it's anywhere. You know, if you're at a bank, I mean, you've got to be aware of your surroundings, you know? And a lot of times I'll tell our customers, like, guys, you go to the bank to pull out $10,000 worth of cash or whatever it is you're going to spend at our shop, when all you could have just sent me a wire. You could have wrote me a personal check. You know, let's think of the safer debit card. Yeah. Let's think of safer options here. Let's not risk in this environment, because I feel like a lot of people I think they're clueless to what's really going on. I mean, and I'll just speak to Houston, you know, with the bond situation and how lackadaisical it feels like, you know, the city is taking, they're not really taking to crime, in my opinion. And it's affecting the way that we do business. And we've had to beef up security. We've had to do a lot of other things. What are some of the things that you guys encountered, and what are you doing to dance around it?
Well, we've, if you've seen the news lately, we've had a few break-ins, and several actually. And so, without giving away too many secrets, I will say that we're going cashless at several of our locations. And one of the things that happened was these Brink safes are not the best safes in the world. And if someone knows they're in your building, that's what they go after. So we got hit at our Woodland store recently, and on Easter Sunday. So obviously they don't take off on Easter.
Wow!
But they broke in.
Think of a worse day.
They weren't able to get in. But prior to them breaking in that store, I had seen the arrangement of our IT cabinet directly next to the safe, and I said, that's a terrible spot for the IT cabinet. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, they did some damage, and two of our IT guys had to go out and work on Easter Sunday to get the store back up and running. But I mean, they're going to destroy whatever they need to get to it. So. Yeah. But we're making changes, and one of them is at that location, and Spring and Cypress, we're cashless. So it's all credit cards, debit cards, or mobile pay, which they can use their phone and do it.
Yeah. What's the community feedback on that?
Well, the positive is it's been very positive overall. Okay, but the main reason is because only 10% of our business is cash anyway. It's been credit cards and debits. Yeah. I don't know. Who doesn't have some form of other payment besides cash, whether it's Venmo or Apple Cash or whatever. So there's ways to pay, and the mobile pay using the QR code is very convenient, because on your phone now you can use any form of payment you have there to pay for it.
That's cool.
So it works, and I mean, Houston's or Hillstone on Kirby is cashless. There's another restaurant chain that went cashless also, and I think you're just going to see it. One thing we've already noticed, and this is a huge positive, is our management team is getting out of the store 30 minutes earlier. Oh, so it's a time saver, because they don't have to sit there and reconcile cash.
Yeah, balance the cash.
So,
which is a big one.
It's a huge one, and the we several years ago we were robbed after closing, and a manager had a gun to him, and that's just getting a little too dangerous now.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's
scary.
Yeah, that's when you got to make some gut level decisions at that point. Right. It's good to hear that, that only 10% of your business is cash, because you're going to have a lot of naysayers on the cash thing. I can feel that.
We've had one or two that we had this one gentleman come in, and he had all these badges all over him.
Oh gosh.
And he sat in the to-go room, and the cashier told him, "Sir, we're cashless," and he wasn't having any of it. He was gonna pay with cash no matter what she said. So I guess he must have seen or heard the story, and he just wanted to come in and prove his point, and it made him feel good. And we took his cash.
Oh my gosh!
But when I told the management team what they should have done, I said, "Sir, I'm gonna take your cash. I'm gonna pay with my credit card and earn the points off your cash, so I can go fly free somewhere."
There you go.
But anyway, yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
I mean,
yet these same people probably, when they buy from Amazon, they're using their credit card. When they buy an airline ticket, they're using their credit card.
Yeah.
But no, they want to buy enchiladas. They want to pay cash.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
To each his own.
Yeah, to each his own.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that you guys are, one thing and being able to admire you from a distance in the way that you handle your business, it seems like your brands are always moving and they're progressive. They're always, looking for new ways and new inventive ways to, to cater to the customer. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing.
Right. We're trying to streamline anywhere and everywhere we can. We're trying to, one of the things we're really focused on because of inflation is waste. So it's a huge focus of ours. And one small example, one small change that we did that has already saved quite a bit is our chip baskets. We had the paper liner that goes inside that was larger than the basket itself. So of course that allows you to put more chips than the basket can actually hold.
Okay.
Yep.
And so we reduced that to where it's a smaller liner inside and just trimming 15, 20% less chips per serving, because the servers are notorious for bringing you a basket of chips and you don't even need it.
Yeah.
Because you're probably almost done with your meal.
Yeah.
But hey, here's another basket of chips just because I'm your server and I want to do a great job.
Yeah. They're in the zone, right? And
Right.
they're not counting how many chips you eat, so they're just moving, right? It's just.
And so we're doing another change with our salsa bowls. We're having some custom manufactured bowls right now made in Mexico. And it's going to reduce the ounces. The perception is going to be the same. It's going to be the same size bowl diameter-wise.
Wow.
But it's not going to be as deep. So if we can trim 20% there, and for example, let's say we went from a 4-ounce, which is what we currently use, to a 3-ounce bowl. If we can go to a 3-ounce bowl, so we reduce 25%. So every table's going to get at least 2 bowls. So that's 8 ounces versus 6 ounces. So you're going to be wasting less, because there's times where they'll take a whole salsa bowl back to the dish pit.
Right.
And it's in the
dump
trash.
it. Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's just waste. It's just waste. And that waste has to be factored into your pricing structure. So
Of course.
we're trying to keep our prices as low as possible, still delivering a high quality product, great experience and great atmosphere. And if we can do that, Angelo's Pennies will be successful.
So how cool is that? So instead of raising prices and doing the easy way,
Like
right?
like
The lazy way is,
let's
let's just tack on 5% and everybody else can pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or let's try to be inventive here and let's figure out if we can cut on our side, and let's cut waste by 10 or 15%. And hopefully that'll be able to carry us through this inflationary time without having to stick it to the customer, which is what everyone else is doing. But not, to that point, I'm trying not to give away too much here. We have gotten ourselves into uncomfortable situations in terms of volume to be able to keep our prices to our consumers down. So if you were to buy metals and you know that premiums are going up, the way to combat that is to buy in volume, and to buy on delay. So if you're like, Kenny, I want to buy some silver today, how much is it? Well, if you want to take it home today, it's X. But if you can wait 2 weeks, I can do it at 20 cents an ounce cheaper.
Yeah.
Or in gold, that would relate to like $5 an ounce cheaper.
Right.
And we have a trusted relationship. You don't think, we're not going anywhere. And you're like, I don't need it today anyway. I just want to buy it because I
lock it in.
I just want to lock it in. Exactly. I just want to know that it's there, and I want to know that I put X amount into it. And thanks for the discount. So we've incorporated structures like that to try to mitigate the price increases on things. And because we don't want to see people just have, these mints that they're like, oh, we're just going to go up on our pricing today.
Yeah.
You're like,
They
we built a base.
Right.
And now you've sent us into a frenzy basically, because now we're working on such a low margin already. I mean, we work on very thin margins.
Yeah. 10 years ago, you wouldn't see that price increase 3 times a year. You would see it.
No way.
We've had
every 2
now and then,
price increases in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we, speaking of pricing, so our CFO who joined us in 2017, he used to manage a 70-unit chain of this other brand, not Mexican food, but this other brand of restaurants. And so we get a report on our prime cost, and it's very detailed. I mean, very, very detailed. And so we can see trends. We can see outliers with one unit against another. We can see the total picture, the highs and the lows, and then the average, and all the outliers that we need to go focus on. And it could be anything from this store is buying more avocados than all the others, based on the same sales. So, how can we go out and find the problem if there is one? But and I forgot where I was going with that. But
well, we were talking about pricing. We were talking about inflation and the people raising prices on the back end.
So we try to. I mean, again, our margins are very thin. Our labor and food being the two top cost items. But our food costs, we've always tried to maintain a cost of goods in the neighborhood of 32 to 33% food cost. And we include paper in that number. And then our labor, we try to keep that anywhere from 25 to 26. And combined, we try to maintain a prime cost of 60% or less. We're as concerned if that prime cost goes 61 or 62, or if it goes 58, 59 or whatever, we're just as worried either direction, because if one direction we're not making money, the other direction we're not giving the guests their money's worth, so to speak.
Right.
So we're very sensitive to that, and we feel that because of our volume, that's our sweet spot, 60%, and it works. It just works.
That's cool.
My son joined me back in 2014. And besides going to Yale and being an architect, he did all 7 years there, met his wife there at grad school. He also went to Wharton and got his MBA. And so here's a guy, I call him a guy, young kid, shows me all these numbers, and they're just numbers to me. I mean, he'll tell me, hey, this is the valuation, this is this and that. I'll just say, okay. I mean, I still look at, balances. Every week I get the checking account balance report, certain reports, just so I know where we're at. I have to know where I'm at. I don't care. I mean, it's not as important to be where you're at as it is to know where you're at.
100%.
So
you can't make decisions if you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
So that's a big focus of ours, and then not to be just reactive to any news report. Avocados are up, or cheese, or dairy, or beef. Yeah. Oh, we got to raise prices. No, we don't. Let our competition be the ones that overreact to every news article out there. Let's just focus, monitor, and adjust if we have to. But a lot of times we don't. And even if we get killed on one single item, let's say, for example, although our total cost of goods sold is 32, 33%, we could have an entree or a particular item where our food cost is 40, 45%. But we still look at the average. What do we average out? Because if you get hung up, hey, we're not making any money on that dish, and you start playing with that price point, then you're gonna skew a lot of different things. No traffic doubt. Being one. If your traffic goes down, you're in trouble. I mean, you're in our business, we're in trouble. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse than going to a restaurant that is slow, because number one, that means the food in the kitchen is not being rotated, and you don't want to go there at 5 o'clock because it's been rotating for hours, or it's been sitting still for hours, should I say? And nothing like going to a busy restaurant at 7 p.m. Just about everything's out of the kitchen that was there, everything's fresh and good to go. But volume's the key. Volume solves a lot of problems for sure.
Well, as we were talking earlier about our margins, and the only way we make it work is by volume, right? So that's it. Yeah. And when the traffic dies down in here, we crank it up. Yeah. And whether that's wholesale business, we have a couple of different revenue streams, right? So we do bullion, as you know. Mm-hmm. We are rare coins.
I didn't know, but I know now.
we are rare coins, right? We do a little bit in memorabilia. We do a lot in watches. We do a lot in jewelry. So when things kind of tamper down one, we kind of flex to another. And, sure. Then the digital stuff, the podcast stuff this is more fun, but.
Yeah. One of y'all's, I believe one of y'all's most valuable traits or what I'm looking for, characteristics of your business is the fact that y'all have a great reputation. And that is the most valuable thing you can own in business is your reputation. And you never want to lose that over pennies in some cases. Yeah. But so that gives you an advantage right there over your competition because it just does. I mean, they're not in a position to to do what you can do. I mean, I just had lunch at Taste of Texas before I came here. Great restaurant. I mean, Ed Hendy's done such a fantastic job. That's probably the busiest steakhouse in Houston. One of them.
Oh, for sure.
They do.
They're good friends of the store too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. But anyway, the volume they do is just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So I just admire businesses that have built slowly but surely over time, because it takes time. And a lot of times people don't have patience for it, and sometimes they just don't have the time because their overhead structure puts them at a disadvantage.
Well, and see, that's kind of what attracts me to. Well, I mean, I say attracts me, not in a weird way, but like that's what when I look at you and I've kind of seen your accomplishments. It's, you know, you've been in business X amount of years. You've got 20 restaurants. It's not like you just come in and say, okay, we're going to do 100. You know, it's like, hey, let's be smart here. Let's figure out who our audience is, how to cater to them. How can we take care of them? How can we staff it? Yeah. You know, how can we, there's so much that goes into this, and people just, a lot of times I don't feel like they get it.
And times have changed. I mean, we're the server today, the worker today is different than it was when we first started. I mean, their attitude toward working is different.
Sure.
It's just different.
Well, that brings me to a good point. So we are right now actually looking for some help. And for the first time ever, we put out a public statement saying so. We've always been able to hire friends, family. We're a family business, so we've literally exhausted every family member that's in our family tree.
Yeah.
They either work here or they have worked here and gone on to do better things.
Or they're too young, they haven't been able to move up yet.
Or we've got nine nieces and nephews between, so they're all coming up in the ranks. But they're, 15, 20 years out, right? So, I mean, we need some help now. And, it's funny because somebody asked me, he's like, so what position are you really hiring for? And my question, without really thinking about it, was I'm always hiring the right person. So like, I'm always hiring the right person. Always. Like, I am never not hiring. If you are worth your salt, I'm looking for that type of person always. I'm looking for a game changer, a difference maker, someone who's honest and who is ready to strap on the boots and come to work every day, and who's accessible. And it's been hard. We've had some resumes and we've made some phone calls. We've talked to some people, but man, it's tough because in my industry, I'm sure you have theft. I mean, little tacos here and there, right? But I mean, our theft is, how much an ounce of gold is $2,000. I mean, you could take a piece of 90% every single day and probably have a retirement plan by the time, it just
do a lot of damage pretty quick.
Yeah. We're going through it right now, trying to find somebody to take over and run our eBay department because we have such a huge customer base and we have what everybody else is looking for. And that's the product. Yeah. All we're missing is the person that's going to help and share our vision to help build it. So we put a public service, a message out there, and I'll be in Chicago in a couple of weeks. I've got a couple interviews set up. We could hire one person. I could hire 4 people. I'm not limited to, we have a lot of work to do. And I was going to ask you, what have you seen in terms of hiring? I know there's not a lot of Jonathan Kims running around. There's not a lot of Elliots running around. There's not a lot of, so like our head guys, how do you find those people? Where do you promote them from within? Tell me a little bit, give me some advice here on how to find, what do I do to find the right guy?
Well,
girl.
We're talking apples and oranges, obviously. But, one of the areas where we look, so we have a manager in training program that we rolled out a few months ago or a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think we talked about this at Rogel's one time. And,
there are certain qualities you look for in an individual to begin with. And it's not something they actually learned in a classroom. It's mostly them. It's their personality trait. And there are certain qualities that led itself really well to the food service industry. And it's really about caring about other people. So, but once we have a server that is outgoing, that kind of embodies our culture, then we take that person and we approach them. We'll ask them, hey, would you ever consider getting into management? And so we have some general managers, and they're all 6 figures plus, but they started as in some cases bussers.
Yeah.
But they worked hard and they put their time in. Our general manager at College Station, Christian Ovalle, he started as a busser in Texas City, became general manager of that store. He started in 2004, became general manager probably about 6-7 years later, and then opened up New Caney, and then now he's in College Station. He bought some land out there. He has ducks and chickens on his ranch, and he just loves it out there.
Good for him.
And he's smart because he positioned himself close to Waco because he knows that may be another market for us. So he could go either direction if he had to run one store or two stores.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
But there's certain qualities. Obviously, honesty, integrity are paramount in any business. But we just at the end of the day, we take care of them. We take care of our staff, and if they know we care about them and we'll be there for them, it gives you an advantage right there because they know very few companies do that. We started a foundation 4 years ago called the Tex-Mex Legacy Foundation, and it's kind of almost an emergency fund to help team members or the community, because we actually dispersed quite a few funds out of that foundation when things have happened to someone in our local community where we have restaurants, but they know we're there for them, and that's what's important. Our company has done over 25 complete full dental makeovers for team members that had severe dental needs, and those kind of stories, when they start circulating throughout the company of what we've done for them, it just elevates their work ethic and everything about what they do. And we have a full-time pastor now in our company, Sam Hernandez. He started off as a general manager back in 2011, and so he goes around from store to store. He because a lot of our staff, they have a lot of challenges sometimes,
of course.
all kinds. I mean, it's just all kinds of things.
Everybody has challenges. Yeah. I mean, that's come on, man.
Issues. I mean, and we live in the Instagram society generation.
I don't trust you if you don't have some type of issue. Okay?
Well,
something's got to be going on.
Like that saying, this little plaque my dad had on his desk years ago. He said, "The problem with some people is they don't admit their faults."
Yeah,
I'd admit mine if I had any. That's what the sign said. But so anyway, again, we have to put it out there first. We have to show them that we care about them first before we can expect them really to care about us. It's not conditional. It's unconditional.
Right.
And so I think by the way we've approached our staff, the labor market, how we attract people is through, a lot of it is just through word of mouth and just kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a, anyway, they
refer or
no, well, the word gets around. It's just people just see that hey, there's a company that's just different than everything they've been used to or seen.
Yeah, they actually back up what they say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to, can you actually do what you say you're doing?
Right.
You say you do community outreach. What does that mean?
Right.
What does that entail? But when people start seeing it in motion, well, then it's like, okay, I can get with that. That they make sense, right? And it's like Mattress Mac. I think he's the king of that, right? I mean, this guy.
Yeah, he does it on a completely different level.
Yeah, but he does it at a different level because he's at a different level. But I mean, anybody can contribute, right? And it.
Yeah, but what I mean by a different level, the fact that he opened up his store during Katrina.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Let people sleep on brand spanking new mattresses. There's a lot of business people that wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And that didn't, and the mattresses, the potential losses of whatever it was, that wasn't his concern. It
wasn't a factor.
It was the people in their time of need. And yet there was another church we all know in Houston that kept the doors locked, and what does that say? Well, what does that say? So,
well, I don't know what church it was. Who was it? Oh,
I'd rather not say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean,
they'll know. People,
do you know?
I know.
Yeah.
Who was it? We don't have to put it on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Figures. It's okay. Well, it figures. I mean, I'm sorry.
It was a big deal.
Guy's
he's
a TV pastor. I mean, what'd you expect?
Yeah.
He doesn't care about people. I mean, that, you know,
that made me sweat.
Yeah.
so from Russell Ybarra's mouth, no, I'm just kidding. You know, we do a pretty good job of cutting things. Okay. we come sometimes get off the handle a little bit. So, all right. So back to that. So this is a perfect segue for Camp Hope. So I was introduced to Camp Hope by Michael Berry.
As was I.
Okay. Yeah. And, you know, he was like, listen, at the time, I think I had done some concerts, and we sponsored Willie
RCC,
Nelson, at the RCC, and you know I was just kind of getting into the whole like Michael Berry world of, because once you get in there, man, it's like a million miles an hour, and it's
how well I know.
Well, you know more than me. I was more of an outsider, and this kind of goes back to what I said before about the whole marketing thing, is that, you know, people are always ready to tell you that something's not going to work, right?
Always.
And it's like, for me, it's like, I'm trying to find what does work. I'm trying to see the positive first. And that doesn't mean that sometimes things just don't work out. That's just life. But I don't ever want to go into a situation with a negative attitude. I have just learned in my life, it took me a long time to realize that that's not a good way to approach things, because a lot of times things are going to end up negative because of your mindset, or because of my mindset.
Right.
And when I was getting into this whole advertising world and meeting people and kind of branching out and networking and whatnot, Michael's like, I want you to go to this place, and I want you to lay eyes on this place. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Camp Hope. I was like, what is that? I get that. And then, you know, I went to the website, and I'll be honest with you, at that time, the website wasn't that informational. It was just kind of, I think, just up and coming maybe. Right. But when I went out there and I actually met you out there, man, what a cool place. Like, what an amazing job what a cool place. Like, because I don't feel like veterans get their due before we even get into that. And especially people who are struggling, right? And this gives them a place to be able to go to where there's other people around them that they can bounce things off of. It's just like it's a community, right? Yeah. And when it comes to charitable donations and things of that nature, it's the number one place that I do my personal stuff with.
Good.
Because to me, it's real change, and you can see your dollars at work.
Well, it's saving lives. I mean, at the end of the day, you're saving lives, and not just saving lives, but you're saving families. And
the family aspect was,
you have small children, so you can only imagine when a veteran takes his life and all the people that it affects forever. Yeah. So when you look at it that way and approach it that way, you really it gives at the end of the day, it gives your business and you yourself meaning and purpose. And without it, really, there's no sense in even going into business unless there's something more behind what you're selling. I'll tell people, we just, we're in the people business at the end of the day, but we just happen to sell Tex-Mex. It's about people. And, people's about business. Your customers are people. Your employees are people. So we're in the people business. Yeah,
just 100%.
So anyway, and we just want to take care of the community that supports us. And I think, as a matter of fact, we had this campaign, and we're going to continue it. But there's a dish that we serve called the plato soldado, and soldado is Spanish, and soldier in Spanish. And we contribute $2 for every plate we sell, and we just passed the $1 million mark on that one. And so our next goal is obviously 2 million, but we'll be continue to do it because it makes a difference. I'm on the board of directors, by the way, of Camp Hope, so I see the budget, I see what it takes to run that operation. It is growing. Unfortunately, it's grown because obviously that means there's a huge demand. Right now we're losing. It used to be 22, but this study came out recently, and it's really 44, almost 44 veterans we lose a day to suicide. So it's an important program. Talking about staffing, that's one of the hardest organizations to staff people, because the only person that another fellow veteran will trust is another veteran. So some of the veterans that go through the program, like how we talk to our servers, if they get into management, they talk to these guys.
Graduate.
Becoming a counselor. And the telephone is answered, 24/7. It's a hotline. And so it's an important program to have here. I think we're working with the VA to because now we can get reimbursed on some of the costs associated with getting these veterans to the program.
Cool.
So it's a 6-month program, and they're different when they come out for sure.
Yeah. No, it's
much better place.
It's cool. I mean, I think the last time I was there, the condos were being built, and I mean, it's just like it's a whole nother world. There's a lot of good things going on over there.
Yeah.
Any veterans in your family?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
My grandfather was our grandfather was in the Navy, and my grandfather, my mother's side, who just recently passed, was a colonel in the Air Force, and retired in I think in the 60s. Served Eglin Air Force Base, and that's my Florida connection tie right there. So that's my mom ended up moving back there, and I kind of grew up around them, and it was really. I used to go to the BX with my grandma, and, back when they would actually salute, whomever was in the car. I don't know if they do that anymore. I think I heard no, but that was always like a cool thing to go on the base, and it was cool. But it wasn't necessarily like I'm a big fan of veterans and what they do and the sacrifice they make. To me, it's just crazy to think that you would give up your, I don't know. It's just, to me, is a very selfless thing to do.
Right.
And to come home and have problems and not have anybody be there for you, to me, is just, it's freaking criminal. And so when I was there, and you look at it too a lot like a substance abuse, it's like people need help, and they need to talk to people who are in that same mindset and going through the same things. I'm not going to come talk to you about opening a car wash, right? Why would I do that? You don't know anything about car washes. Right. But if I said I want to open up a restaurant.
I know where the best one is, though. Bucky's Katie. Oh my God, that thing is like a mile long.
Really?
And by the time you get to the end of it, they have so many blowers that your paint's coming off the car. I've never seen a car wash like that. And there it goes. Here's a convenience store, Bucky's, that has taken the C-store business industry to a completely different level.
Yeah.
And they improve at every area. And a great example, I mean, so the car wash. There are car washes everywhere. But they're going to figure out a way to make a car wash even better.
Yeah. So
they dealt with they focused in on 2 areas of convenience stores that people care about most, and that is restrooms, the cleanness of restrooms,
of course,
and quick checkout. And then from there, they kind of built this model that is second to none. I mean, they're open in other states now, and they are.
Who is the owner?
Beaver Applin. His name is Beaver.
Beaver, yeah.
Beaver, and he has a partner too. Can't remember his name right now, but yeah, they just, I mean, for example, if I was going to go into the convenience store business, I would go study everything about Bucky's and model my store after them.
How could you not?
Maybe find a point of difference that, hey, they could improve here. Let me work on that area so I could have that point of difference to be just a little bit different. But yeah, so anyway, yeah.
One of the things I tell small coin shop guys when they ask me is, it's like, well, how do I break in? And it's like, well, you model yourself after success.
Right.
Right. Like, oh, well, that's unoriginal. I'm like, if you think that's unoriginal, then you're never going anywhere, because there's nothing that you can really do in this day and age that's really original. It's a bite off of something else.
Right.
But yeah, you've made that point, and it's an amazing point, because at the end of the day, people have already done the research. They've made the problems. I mean, they've made the mistakes. They've ran into issues. Why would you put yourself through that when you know you could just maybe make something that what they're doing, make it better?
Learn from someone else's mistakes and build off of it, make it different, make it yours. So when we started doing television, it's like, well, okay, so how do we do television commercials? What's the first thing I did? I looked at other commercials that are around. Now, there were none in Houston, but I started to try to find some, and I did. I had my programmer, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I like this. And our first commercial that we shot was with Chance McClain. Yeah. And I said something at the end, like, just bring in the coins. We want to see them, right? We love them. Like, we love coin deals.
There's nothing. I mean, we do, if we do a bullion deal, I could do a $10 million bullion deal, and I would rather buy $100,000 worth of fresh coins. Yeah. Right. I mean,
we love coins. So we love to see new and,
something
coins,
you haven't seen before.
Coins that have been maybe in a safety deposit box.
He captures.
No one else has seen for 60 years or more. So
well, it's your passion, and I think it comes across to your customers, potential customers for sure. And congratulations, it's not easy, and y'all done it. Y'all done a great job.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's
maybe one day I'll buy a coin from you.
I wish you would. I've never offered you anything.
Never in a million years.
But it is funny. People ask me like, why don't you ever offer us anything? I'm like, cause you're my friend. I mean, if you want to buy it, I think you'll ask me. I mean, I don't want to force anything on people. It's not.
Y'all had some nice watches there too, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, we were heavily into the watch game. We had a meeting about this week.
Yeah. We transitioned. The watch market was falling. Less people were buying watches with all the things going on in the world, either banking
China.
or stock market.
China,
or,
really, yeah.
Right. The war.
Yeah.
So the watches slowed down. Less people wanted to buy them. And so we got into trading them more on a wholesale basis, keeping less stock and focusing heavily on our coins, our vintage coins. And then also, of course, the bullion, because the bullion market, gold and silver just took off. We had a lot more customers, buying from us, and we were doing some good selling, but really just I think the traffic sped up, right?
Yeah. So I mean, the market adjusted. Watches were through the roof. Right. And I mean, matter of fact, I think you asked me about one, and I told you, I was like, I don't think it's the right time to buy it.
Yeah.
They're too expensive. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell anybody something that's going to be that they're going to get their head knocked off. That's not what we're in business for.
Right.
And we have a buyback. So like on our rare coins, if it's not bullion related, so like tied to gold and silver, we give a 10% buyback for 1 year. So if you go in the store and you're like, man, that's a pretty coin. How much is it? I'm like, well, it's 10 grand. You're like, well, what is it really worth? It's like, well, I would give you $9,100 for it at any given time within the next year. No questions asked, no story to tell. I don't care about your car repairs or your house note or whatever it is. Don't care. And if you trade it, I'll do my best to give you more than 90%. And when we started doing that, people were like, holy, these guys are the real deal.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we were doing it, but we weren't talking about it.
We weren't talking about it.
No one knew about it.
And I don't think I've never advertised it. Not to this day. It's never been on a commercial. It's never been on a radio ad. I don't do it because it's not, I just want the people to know that we do businesses, that we're there to take care of them. We want to make sure that they are taken care of. So yeah, we stopped selling watches when they got stupid, crazy, and they started to drop. It's like, well, why would I sell you a dropping product? If you want something and you can't live without it, sure, I'll find it for you. Right. We have a customer that we're dealing with right now that we sold him an expensive watch. And I told him, do not buy this watch.
Yep.
He said, I have to have it. I said, do not buy this. And I just told him, I don't want to sell it to you. He's like, well, I'm going to have to buy it from this guy in New York. And then tax and this. And I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it. I gave in. I bought him the watch. He's lost 100% on that watch.
Oh, wow.
And we're not talking about a cheap watch either.
But like a month after that, you gave him an option to sell it.
I tried to sell it for him. And it had just gone up a little bit, like 10 grand. I'll tell you, the watch was 200 grand. And it was like 210 or 214 someone offered. And I was like, dude, sell it. Take it. I don't want a dime. I just want you out of it because I can sleep at night. That stuff bugs me. Right. I don't like it.
Because it's coming. Eventually.
It's coming back.
And you want to take care of your customer.
You want to take care of your customer, man.
So you pick the right coins. You try to pick the right watches and jewelry, but
sometimes people just can't help themselves.
Right.
They can't help themselves.
And that's normal. I mean, there's
but
jewelry, and
you just don't have to do it with me.
It can be very impulsive.
You just don't have to do it with me.
Just sign a waiver or acknowledgement or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like I just don't want to do it. So going back to the watch thing, and we had a meeting about it earlier this week, and I'm like, okay, we have to still have some stock. We can't have 400 Rolexes 1 year and have 10 the next year. It just doesn't. It looks bad, right? It's not. To me.
That's a lot.
Say it again.
That's a lot of Rolexes.
Yeah. Well, when we did, we were circulating a bunch. I mean, I would say maybe 400 was probably a stretch, but
a couple hundred.
I mean, there was definitely 200, closer to 300 at one point.
But you had some being photoed, you had some being worked on.
Some were on memo out to other shops and
getting cleaned up.
Yeah, so we had a big rotation of stuff, and it was just keeping up with it, and at the end of the day, we just didn't want to put people into bad deals.
Yeah,
and like what's the used auto dealership that Carvana?
Yeah.
Did you ever see what their stock went to?
I know it was low.
No, but I'm talking about the high.
No.
It was what, $400? It was over 4, and it's down to what, 5?
Yeah,
or something like that. It's crazy.
Well, people were buying from home, right? It was easy.
And
also,
they were paying inflated prices on cars that weren't worth that, and now it's all coming. It's all adjusting now.
Well, the used car market's still pretty hot.
Yeah.
Well, it's hot. It's crazy. It's hot though. I don't understand it, to be honest with you, but whatever. But back to the watches. I made a huge mistake. I have a rule that I try to impose on our company, and that's we don't do friends for favor. We don't do favors for friends. Right. And it's not because I don't want to do them. It's because we don't put 100% of our mental acuity into those deals because they're our friends.
Right.
And a lot of times things fall apart. It's like, hey, can you fix this watch for me? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm like, look, man, yes, I can, but I don't want to jack with it because I don't want to put it in queue. Like for me to service a watch, if we make $45, it's not worth it. Right. Yeah. We're not a watch service repair place.
Most of the time we're doing it for free.
Yeah.
We do it for what it costs.
We always end up doing it for free. And then for free, it means you're losing money.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're losing money, time. Right.
So a friend of mine asked me, hey, I've got my grandfather's watch and I need you to service it. Do you mind? And I was like, sure, send it. So he sends me the watch. I never see the watch. It goes in intake. I don't think sometimes people realize we got almost 40 employees. So like, it's not like I see everything that comes in the door all the time. Right. So the watch comes in. Well, it happens to come in the same day. Another dealer, the coin dealer, sends a watch in. So our guy makes the fatal mistake of mixing up the two watches and two names. I get a phone call about 6 months after and says, hey, man, I never got my watch. I'm just checking on the progress. I'm like, my heart dropped. I was like, this is going to be bad because I already knew. Yeah,
and you thought it was taken care, it was already handled. Right?
I thought it was done. I hadn't heard from anybody. I didn't, no one asked me any questions.
Came back in, you got shipped back.
Kind of like we were talking about earlier about the shrimp deal. Like, it's like, I like to know these things. Like, I don't need to be formally addressed about it every single day, but once you just shoot me a text, hey, so-and-so's watch has been delivered, or just like to give me that peace of mind, So I'm going to say his name because he said I can. So this is Andrew Edelman's. We've done a lot of business together, and I'm about to have to tell this guy, like, I don't have his watch. Oh, we ripped the entire place apart. I looked back through every watch repair job we did in that time frame. We did everything we could, like CSI, trying to break this thing down. Where could this thing be? And we finally got it down to tracking information to California to another dealer. So that we got the watch done. The watch came back. Our team sent it to the wrong address. That person, instead of saying, oh, hey, this isn't my watch, let me send it back, puts it in an auction. Oh, God. Yeah. The watch sells. Oh, God. We find the trade where the watch sells. So I call the auction company. I said, hey, I have to have this watch back, and I'm willing to pay whatever it takes to get it done. No reply from the owner. At first, they didn't want to do it, but because of our relationship, they did. They took care of it, and I really do got to give them a shout out. I do appreciate their help on that. They really, they did. So long story short, after 2 months, he's like, I got a hold of the guy. He wants a crazy amount of money for this watch. This guy, it was literally 3X. And I said, pay it. I'll do it. Just get the watch back to the guy who owns it. Like, let's get it back to the original owner.
Wow.
Yeah.
The watch is being shipped today, overnight. So this like a year-long saga. I have never been asking. I was so sick over this thing because if I'd have lost this guy's grandfather's watch, it would have devastated me, and not even to mention devastate him,
Every day you wake up, you'd be thinking about it.
I was thinking about it. It just had me in a funk. I was in a funk.
Oh my God.
And I wrote the check. We wrote the check today to pay for the watch and overnighted. And I'm like, I'm so glad that it's finished. And
let's hope that watch comes back.
Yeah. No, it's a done deal.
You saw pictures of it and everything.
Yeah.
By
It's the real
time
deal.
this is published, we'll know if they'll watch.
If it's not, we won't publish it. No, but it's the real deal. And we got pictures. They sent pictures, and I tell you, the silver lining in the deal was that Andrew was appreciative of me.
Right.
And here I am.
The effort you made.
Here I am the whole time. I'm bashing myself because I broke my own rule. Right? We don't do these type of things. I'm not in the watch repair business. Sorry, I'm not. I don't have a bench jeweler. I don't have a watchmaker. That means I have to outsource it, which means that's more people's hands on products and I love our watchmaker, but he doesn't work for me. Right. He works for himself. He makes his own rules. He doesn't work for me. He doesn't work by Kenny Duncan's rules, right? Yeah. So that's not a business model for me. I don't want to be in that game. It's too much responsibility and it's too much risk and it's a time stealer. Okay. And you have to acknowledge those things. And a lot of times, even at the management level, we don't respect that motion enough to where, we're just dumping it off on someone else's to let them handle the responsibility. And of course they're going to do it because they work for us, but how do they truly feel about it? They probably don't like it. Right. It's a time stealer for them. They got other stuff to do. They don't got time to jack with this person's watch. So when, he does something for a friend or I do something for a friend, it always 90% of the time gets messed up because you're doing it for a friend and it changes the landscape. For me, I want to take care of my friends. I just want to, I just buy you a watch. just leave me alone.
Less headaches.
Yeah. Just tell me what you want. Don't repair it. I'll just buy you another.
Well, I think the ones that I've seen, it's always, I always think, oh, it's an easy thing to fix. Someone's like, oh, I have a lady's date just, and it doesn't work. I think, oh, okay, well, it's a simple fix, I'm sure. Because you could fix anything in those watches.
Right.
But it's never that way. It's like open it up and the whole movement's glued or has glue all over it.
Yeah.
It's always something that it's like, why did I get myself into this?
Why'd you get involved in it?
Yeah, why did I get involved in this?
Exactly.
And I just said yes because I'm just used to being helpful.
Well, you're a nice guy.
Out. Yeah.
So what kind of I know security is a huge concern and issue with y'all's stores, but what about cyber theft, or do y'all have any of that?
Wire fraud.
Wire fraud.
We dodge bullets with it every day.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what the most popular thing? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it's really for us. It's just being double check, triple check.
Well,
for wire fraud, it's just I always call and I verify the numbers.
Let me. I'll share a story with you that happened very recently. So I'm a season ticket holder with the Rockets. I have two sets. One's third row, one second row. The second row is directly behind Tillman Fertitta. But in those four seats, I am 1/4 season ticket holder.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that owns the tickets, the season ticket holder that controls them, he's an attorney in Houston. And he just emailed me and the two other guys that have the other 25% to let us know that the statement's in, and he attached a statement. And after we did the calculations, I knew what my part was, and he says, "Hey, just cut me a check, no problem." So I responded, "No problem. I'll have it to you by the weekend." And then I don't know if it was the same day or that afternoon or the next morning, but I get an email from him and say, "Hey, could you wire it instead, because my American Express statement is going to be in on the 9th, and I like to just go ahead and pay it." I said, "Sure." And he said, if you agree to it, I'll send you the wiring instructions. So I said, "Okay, sure. Send me the wiring instructions." So he sends them. And I was out to dinner when I received them, and that night I get home and I'll wire the funds. And then the next morning, Chase Fraud Alert calls me, and they wanted to confirm this wire. And I said, "Yeah, it's legit." And they said, "Have you spoken to this gentleman?" I said, "No, but we communicated via the email." And I looked at all the email. The email address, everything.
Yeah.
It was all the same.
Yeah.
And they kept asking more questions and more questions. So I said, So, and one of the things they brought up was that he had just opened the this account was recently opened in Dallas.
Brand new. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, let me send him a text message real quick. So I screenshot the email where he asked me to wire the funds. And I texted to him, and immediately he says, don't send it. That wasn't me. They hijacked his email.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And they knew the lingo that he uses. They even knew the nickname of the other gentleman that they were going to get his portion from.
Yep.
And but that gentleman, his secretary, caught it. Fortunately, Chase called, and we were able to stop it. But they're getting very sophisticated.
Yeah.
Similar situation. This just happened to us, but someone sends we send invoices out. On our invoices, on the bottom right-hand corner is all of our payment details. Someone spoofed an email address, intercepted one of our invoices, changed by like 2 or 3 numbers.
Yeah, just a couple.
Couple numbers.
Enough.
Yeah. At a bank in Texas City. Okay. For $100 and something thousand. And luckily our department caught it because the numbers didn't match up from before when she called to verify. So now, and this is, public service statement, verify every wire.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to get in the habit of doing it because these guys are freaking good and they're smarter than you. They're better than you. Yeah. They're up right now thinking of ways to screw you and take your money. It is happening. It's evolving. It's every day. You have to be vigilant, man.
How about the mother that received a phone call from her son?
Oh,
right. Yeah.
She spoke with him and it wasn't him.
AI.
Yeah. That's scary.
AI.
That is scary.
Why, all these people that are doing all these face apps and all this stuff, what do you think they're doing with this stuff, man? Like, what do you think? Yeah, but no, that's a huge problem. We're literally facing, counterfeit money. We've had to do it where we don't let people walk with wires on the same day anymore because of this clawback wire. We had, a guy sends me money for a watch. He unlawfully used his brother's account to pay for it, to fund it. His brother tried to claw back the wire. They almost did.
Wow.
I mean, I've never heard of a bank clawing back a wire before, but these things are happening because of this type of fraud.
That's scary.
And
that's supposed to be...
Well, ironclad, right? Well, let me just tell you, there's nothing ironclad right now. I think everything's on the table. So, yeah, that's a great point you brought up. We got to be vigilant. With things like Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies out there and the way that you can use them to move money around, people are doing it left and right. And I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of people it doesn't settle, crypto for me, and this is just my opinion, it's not the company's opinion, but it doesn't sit well in my stomach for some reason.
Me neither. So, I don't have any.
Yeah.
There's something as bad as things are within any country. I still want a country backing a currency.
Yeah.
I just do.
Call me old school.
But and keep in mind, you heard about the dollar. It's now the Chinese. They're trading oil in the Chinese yuan, right?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know about you, but I don't have faith in the Chinese government. I don't know who would want to do that, but so.
Do you honestly think it's happening?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But what I'm saying is, I know some people that they just believe in Bitcoin, and that's fine if you do. More power to you. But I just don't want to put money into something that the only way I'm going to get a return is someone willing to pay me more than what I paid for it.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it is in a nutshell.
So what do you invest in?
Besides people,
yeah,
where I get my best return, I invest in real estate. Real estate.
Yeah.
And other things.
Yeah. What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is going to concerts.
Yeah.
So I just got back from Vegas. I went to see Depeche Mode.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dave Gahan at T-Mobile. Saw him in LA the 2 nights before. And then I'll be seeing them again sometime this year. So a funny story, I was at the concert and in Vegas, and my seat, I didn't particularly care for it because I bought it through StubHub, and once I got there, I like aisle seats or as close as
both.
as close as you can get to it.
Yeah.
So I get there and I'm in the middle of whatever row. I mean, it's a decent seat, but I don't like being stuck there. So I started searching for another StubHub ticket while I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
And I find one, but it's a wheelchair aisle. It's the one at the very top, which I'm good with. I'll go up there and sit. I don't care. But anyway, so I get up there and I'm looking at my ticket and there's someone sitting in it. So I had to get the usher and I said, hey, look, someone's sitting in my seat. Yeah. And I looked at my ticket closer. It's for their next concert in December. So I have that ticket. But then I bought another one. And this one was 5th row, floor, middle. And it went for it was cheap. It went like for $300 or $400. So I just waiting. I got the best seat in the house.
Because it was already.
Yeah, the concert already started.
All right. Not a one up, but a similar. I'm a huge Tool fan.
Yes.
I know they're loud and obnoxious and all that stuff, but I freaking love Tool. I mean, I think they're just, again, when you combine all the musicians and how smart they are and how good they are and great they are at their craft and the way they put it all together, they put some really cool music out. Anytime they play, I want to see them multiple times a year, right? So I get tickets for my buddy at A1 Tickets. Shout out to Chris at A1 Tickets. I'm old school. I like just being able to call my buddy and say, hey, give me some good seats. I'm big on, I like to do business with my friends. I don't check prices. Because why? He sends all of his friends to me. I mean, why would we not do business with him? Yeah, I'm sure I could find him somewhere cheaper if I spent 2 hours, but 2 hours of my time these days come at a pretty high premium. So exactly. So I just try to do as much friends with my business with my friends as possible. So he gets me these seats and he always tells me, wait till last minute. But I'm like, as I get a little older, and I'm like,
yeah. You don't wait till
back in the day that'd have been fine. I'd been like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll ride it. I'll go grab a beer and do this, but I don't drink and I don't really go out much anymore. So when I go out, like I want it to be like all lined out, nice and easy. Right. So I sit down at these seats and I'm like, hey, these aren't good enough. Like if I'm going to go to a Tool concert, I want to get my face melted off. Like, hey, I don't want to be. So I'm literally in the concert sitting there finding more seats on StubHub and I buy them. And I find there's 2 kids that were back there. And when I was walking back, I was like, hey, y'all come move up. I was like, y'all sit in these seats right here. He's like, really? Wow. I mean, is it legal? I was like, no, I just upgraded my seats. And me and my brother actually, my other brother, we went up and got up, it was like 3rd row or something. No, it was Grant actually. But we went up to like the 3rd row. There were better seats, but that's the first time I'd ever done that. Or the only time I think I would have done that is because I don't want to sit here. This isn't exciting. I want to be a little closer.
There's this company called Lane One, and they buy premium seats at concerts. And one of them was the Eagles. And so
when they were here recently?
Well, ever since 2020,
okay.
Something I haven't seen another show that they've been behind.
Okay,
but
cool.
Anyway, it's usually the first like 5 rows they'll buy. And they sell these premium packages. And so my wife and I had gone to New York to Madison Square Garden to see the Eagles, and I had 4 tickets. And I forget why the other couple couldn't make the trip with us. But anyway, so I had these 2 extra floor seats that I think it was 2nd row, right smack center stage. And so I did that. I went to the furthest point in the arena, went up the aisle, and I was looking for a couple that looks that I can ask if they want. Hey, I got some seats for you down there in the 2nd row if you want them. And so they took me up on it, and it turned out they were in the restaurant business too.
Oh, cool.
After we sat down, but I like doing things like that. But yeah, so I've like I said, my pastime is concerts. In 2019, I flew to Sydney, Australia to see U2 in concert, and then I did all this by myself. I was solo for most of the trip, and then from Sydney, I flew to Perth to see them again. And then from Perth, I flew up to Kuala Lumpur. Although they didn't play there, I just went and visited the town. That's where the Twin Towers are at. And then from there, I flew south to Singapore. So I'm there. And actually ran into a Michael Berry friend. Can't even think of his name right now. But anyway, he and his wife were there, and we hung out. And then from there, I flew to Tokyo to see him again. But this time, my 2 franchise partners and my CEO, Jonathan Kim, was there to see him in concert there. We had a great time. And then, but one of my favorite experiences was at Lollapalooza in Paris. Went to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers there, and I'd bought this premium package where they had the VIP section way back in the back. But whenever you're ready to go to see the show, because they have 2 stages, rotating stages, whenever the Red Hot Chili Peppers got on stage, they put you in a golf cart and they take you all the way to the back of the 2 stages. You walk between them up to a little section that's carved out in the very front of the stage, and you just walk in there, and it's like hardly anyone in there with you, and all these people are just crowded behind you.
That's awesome.
It was a great experience, and it's fun to do if you can do it that way. And then
we did that for Radiohead.
Yeah.
And then, but the worst part about the concert was afterwards, I could not get an Uber or anything.
Oh yeah.
And you were like the last one to get out.
I was stuck.
We used to go to a lot of concerts.
Oh man, concerts are my favorite. That's my favorite thing to do. I love music and I love going to concerts.
Yeah, can't see I do much of anything anymore except work and golf. But
Are you married?
I am.
That's why.
Yeah, we've had kids every
this guy's
year.
popping them out like
yeah. So
how many do you
we're
have?
actually expecting. So now we're having our 3rd.
Okay.
But in the last years, it's just been, got married, had our first son, and had our girl, and then now we're having another one. So
Another boy or girl?
Girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah. So
I know your parents must be very proud and excited.
they are
So how many do they have total?
10.
this will be 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they double.
Yeah.
So how many siblings total?
4.
Okay. Well, I have 2 boys and I have 5 grandchildren. So there you go.
It's about the ratio.
Yeah. 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything you want to talk to us about?
So tell me, what is the strangest item that's ever walked through those front doors that someone tried to sell you and that y'all just looked at it and stared for a while?
So
Uncomfortably stared.
yeah, we've been offered some very strange items. I don't know what brings a customer or someone to say, that's coin shop. Maybe they'll buy, this plant or this vial of what. You tell the story. I think you're a better story. You were sitting right next to me.
Has anyone ever tried to sell y'all teeth by chance?
Yeah, all the time.
We
buy teeth once a week.
That's a
Really?
consistent one. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If they got gold in them, we buy them.
Yeah. But as long as they take we buy the caps. We don't the teeth they have to take those
Well,
out.
before, but we made a policy. But like I would find teeth all the time. Like, y'all cannot buy it with teeth. I was like, if they can break that crap out at home and bring it to us as a finished product, I'm not buying teeth.
If you're doing it by weight, it's
Well, you know what happened? I'll tell you what kind of ticked me off was one time I found like a bridge that had a bunch of gold on it.
Yep.
And I was like, well, how did you figure the weight of the teeth?
Right.
Like, oh, well, we just bought it cheap. I'm like, no. I was like, that is not how we figure it. You have to have a provable theory in how you did it.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you ever defend yourself?
Right.
So we went through it.
Inventory, it's a disaster.
But this was before we were even worried about inventory.
Yeah.
We were still trying to build our brand. And I was so vigilant about the optics of everything. And I was like, listen, you're going to break those teeth out. You're going to get the accurate weight. You're going to call that customer and you're going to give them the money that they deserve. I said, but I'm glad this happened because no longer will we buy gold with the teeth still connected to it.
Well, my question is, where does it come from? I mean,
deceased people that
are there grave robbers out there? I mean, or y'all don't know. Y'all plead the fifth.
I think a lot of times it's just like family members. It's like, oh yeah, we had this gold too taken out and they don't want to throw it away because it's gold, but they don't know what to do with it. So they do, we do advertise ourselves as being like the ultimate collector store, right? So we buy everything from A to Z. Like,
so funeral homes will remove the teeth for you?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that.
They remove the teeth. And
that's
then
a weird job to have. Hey, go take out these teeth.
Yeah.
And this guy didn't floss.
This guy has some problems. Right?
Yeah.
So this guy comes in one time and I can't believe I'm about to tell this story.
Yeah.
All right. This guy comes in one time and he has like this like little chest of all kinds of just little weird stuff, right? And you could tell this guy had been tweaking on something. He had been up for like 3 days straight and he was all over the place. And I don't know how we even got roped in. I mean, because a lot of times, it's like I like to be out in front helping people and stuff, but man, it's like I don't have the time. Like I'm in the, I'm doing, we're building a business every day, right?
But we started in the front.
But we started in the front.
That's where it started because we were all up there building customers.
There were
together.
6 employees at that time, including us two, right?
Wow.
I mean, we didn't have anything.
What year is this?
This is in 2011.
Oh, wow.
And, it... Okay, so this guy comes in with this chest, and it's just a bunch of crap. And he has, but a lot of it's like Civil War-ish type stuff.
Yeah.
And like he pulls out this photo of Abe Lincoln. I'm like, okay, so it kind of caught my attention. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. I was like, this is an original photo of Abe Lincoln. It's got to be worth a couple $100, right? Maybe $1,000 or something. So I was like, let me do some research. And he's like, I'm going to show you the coolest part of this deal. I'm like, oh shit. I'm thinking this could get interesting. I'm like, this could be freaking cool, right? I mean, maybe a Civil War gun or something cool, right? He has this little vial, and it looks like piss. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, this is Abe Lincoln's piss. And I was waiting for him to laugh. And I waited like 30 seconds. I'm just staring at this dude, and he's dead serious.
So he brings his brother over.
Yeah.
To verify.
Just to verify.
Yeah. So he called an expert over and said, who's Abe Lincoln's piss expert over here? So we're both staring at each other, looking at this guy. We're like, I am just all of a sudden very uncomfortable, right? I don't know what to say. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty good at being able to talk my way out of things. I couldn't get out of this one. I didn't know what to say. And he just starts going in on, this and that. And my grandma told my uncle, and my uncle told my sister told me. And I'm just like, man, I think I left. I called up front, and I called Anthony, who was helping. I was like, get that guy out of the store as fast as possible. I was like, pay him what he wants for the photo. Get him the heck out of here. Mm. And that was the Abe Lincoln P story.
But
by far the weirdest thing that had ever been offered to us. I mean, we've had people come in and say, this was so-and-so's plant. This is a plant that was in, I'm a Hogs estate. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. It doesn't really resonate with us. Now, what are some cool things we have bought? Man, we bought some really cool stuff. We bought Texas Declaration of Independence. Yeah. So the original. If you want to see that, you can see it before we leave. It's pretty cool. We don't break it out much. Yeah. We have Naismith's original Rules of Basketball. So that's something we've owned in the family for about 20 years. Yeah. Really, really cool piece. It was on display at the Houston Museum of Natural Science for about a year. I think back in 2020. Yeah.
So if you can share this, what's the largest transaction you've ever done?
Retail or wholesale? Because wholesale, we do a shit ton of big transactions.
Yeah.
10
retail.
million plus.
Retail.
Me personally, I sold a customer $4 million worth of gold. 4 or 5 million. Random guy.
Was that coins or bullion or
bullion?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think we sold them 20s. Some pre-33 $20 gold pieces. He bought 4 million that day. He spent probably 20 million with us, but in that one setting, I mean, he just came in off the rip and was like, yeah. So we started talking about the product. He's like, yeah, I want to spend like 4 million. And I was like, okay.
Pesos?
And believe it or not, we actually had that. We had it. We didn't have it in stock that day, but it was like in transit and we had some other stuff going on. So I was like, well, I can fill that by Wednesday. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to wire you. He's actually a friend of a mutual friend of ours. So he had already done his research. And that's the one thing about people with money is like this. A lot of times they don't, it's like, I feel like a lot of times we spend more time with the guys like the $50, $60 guys, and then like the big guys, they've already done their research. They're going off their gut. Yeah. They're going off referral. If they're in your store, they're doing business with you because they've already made up their mind they're going to do it. You don't need to sell them. You don't need to sway them, right? It seems like the guys that want to buy one coin are the most work. Yeah. Right?
I was going to say, because you're right, because it's so bigger customers always they want to pay first, and they pick it up whenever it's ready, right. And it's good. And then some guys are picking up 1 or 2 coins. It seems like it ends up being right.
And to their credit, it's a big transaction.
Sure.
And it's not something they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And when we put ourselves in their shoes, a lot of times we can understand and we get it, right?
Yeah, because I guess the bigger customers are a lot of word word of mouth referrals. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And I hate to say it this way, but they can afford it. You know, if something weird happens, you know, then it's like, oh, that stinks, but it's not going to, you know, change the way I live. Where some of these other people who are, you know, maybe die hard into gold right now. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, right? Gold did trade. I think it did hit an all-time high today. Mm-hmm. It looks pumped and poised to completely break out. As a matter of fact, it probably has already broken out. The chart this morning looked like breakout city.
I feel like the payment for checks too would have been another reason why people, because they'd use a check and then they'd go back and they'd want to pick it up. They say, "Oh, it's cleared my account." 2 days later, but
we have a check. We have a check policy. So if
still
you
has to clear. Yeah,
come in and spend $1 million, you know, even though we're friends, I'm going to hold your check until it clears, right? I mean, and then in clearing, you'll see it come out of your account probably that day or the next, but that doesn't mean the transaction's finished, right? The transaction's finished when both sides, both banks fund and clear, right? And a lot of people don't realize that does take time. In the digital age, it still takes 5 to 7 business days for us to feel confident in a transaction. And as we spoke to earlier about the wire fraud that's going on, now we have a 24-hour pause exactly for the reason why, because Chase calls you and said, "Hey, Russell, this doesn't smell right. Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And they're like, "Are you sure?" Like they keep giving you tidbits to try to get you to really think about it, you know, and you were just like dead set. This is my buddy. It was his email.
You're like, you know what? Let me check.
Foolproof.
Yeah.
But
those would have been very expensive season tickets.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have to pay it twice. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But you were talking about the market. Sorry. What?
Well, I mean, with everything that's going on in the market, I mean, look, to sit here, you know, and say what my opinion is and all that stuff doesn't matter. I mean, people haven't made up in their mind. They don't feel comfortable. They don't want their money in the banks. You know, they definitely don't want it in the stock market. And
there's a lot of uncertainty.
Real estate's great, but if you're paying to play, if you have cash, then you're fine. But if you're going to get a loan, it's expensive out there,
right?
You know, and things aren't as cheap, and these banks aren't as pliable as they were before, and they don't look as they're as solvent as they used to be. And that's not a blanket statement, but some have proven to be unsolvent, and it's a really, really bad feeling. And then you've got all this other stuff going on. Not to mention the biggest elephant in the room is the administration that we're currently in. And we don't take sides, but I'll tell you, it's very uncomfortable for me personally to see what's going on and the way that things are shaping up. Right. It's not a comforting feeling. And I think gold tells you the same thing. Yeah. And I don't think it's backing off anytime soon. I don't know a number. I don't have a projection. I never even think about it because I'm a trader. I'm a day-to-day guy, right? But man, does it feel like you need to have some gold in your portfolio? Yes, 100%. Yeah. And I think the smart money's been buying it all along. You don't want to use, gold doesn't pay a dividend. It doesn't, it's not going to help you. It's a protection against what's unforeseen. And I think once people make amends with that and understand that, then it's like, okay, I'm going to put X amount of my net worth in gold to hedge against any of the craziness that could ensue, because it is coming, right? I don't know what it is or what is, but man, it just feels like things just kind of keep getting more and more.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things going on that lead to, you know, gold and silver. Some of the metals have been done fairly well during times like that. Yeah. I think people just look to something.
Well, if I could go back in time.
Well, if I've heard that before.
Back in the late 60s, early 70s, my dad would go to Mexico and he'd buy the 50 peso.
The Centenarios.
Oh, yeah.
And he would pay $60 for them. And there was a Mexican restaurant chain in Houston. Was it Felix? No. Felix.
Yeah, remember Felix back in the day.
So the owner of Felix, they had a small chain, but she had this belt made out of these coins that wrapped around her. And
I think we bought that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was a big lady, so it was a big belt. So a lot of coins.
We bought a really, really big one.
Okay, cool.
That we thought was a double wrap, but maybe it was a single wrap.
You don't have it? Do you still have it?
No.
Okay. God, that would have been cool to see.
No. We broke it out and sold it.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway,
no, they just, $60, and I think that coin is probably $2,500 maybe.
Yeah, $2,650 or something like that. Yeah.
So
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So when people are like, "Oh, I don't have gold because it doesn't pay a dividend," I'm like, guys, I'm not telling you to put your net worth in it. I'm just saying I think it's smart to have some, right? Just some. Because it does continue to go up. I mean, it has its trading days. It's up and down, but I mean, you just look at a 20-year chart and it rises. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Coin Shop Podcast. We had a great time talking with Russell. Please check out more episodes. Thank you very much for the support. Guys, check out Camp Hope. It's a great place. They do a lot of great things for a lot of good people. And, your passion's not mine, but at the end of the day, I love it. And I think it's a great place. It's worth checking out and it's worth supporting. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you all the veterans for your service, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.